hand you now over to our Chief Curator at the Gallery, Patrick Flores.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Tania, for that amazing performance. We'll see more, right? Thank you. So by bringing flamenco and Zóbel together, the most obvious link is the Saeta, which is the type of painting which you see here, and which Tania will discuss with nuance later. As a curator and art historian, I'm always interested in context, but also in constellation. And so the fact that the Saeta is an artistic method using a needleless syringe as a medium of applying paint, and also a period in the history of the artist, and at the same time something that speaks to music and dance, is an instance of both context and constellation. So let me go to the links. The first link is the everyday life or the life cycle of a place of which the Saeta is part, specifically the Holy Week in Catholic towns, be it in Iberia or in Southeast Asia. But the Saeta has been traced by Zóbel to a range of inspirations, from the dictionary, which is where it is an arrow, to the way icing is funneled onto a cake, scaffolding in building construction, a Japanese garden, and of course the flamenco, which is Tania's passion and vocation. I will leave it to Tania to illuminate this aspect of the link. The other link is the Spanish moment in the life of Zóbel, being a Spanish person, but being born and having practiced in the Philippines, he is also Filipino. This is why the Spanish is complicated by the Hispanic and also the colonial. The mixture of worlds further complicates the condition to produce the folk, or the contact zone between the city and the province, between the colony and empire. For instance, Zóbel was not only an attentive observer of Philippine colonial art, he was a scholar of the field, having written a seminal book on religious iconography. Additionally, Spain is not just Madrid, the capital, it is Cuenca as well, the medieval town where Zóbel built his museum and where he witnessed many Holy Week practices in the same way that he saw a lot in Manila, as evidenced in his fascination with the processional carriage or the moving altar that is the carroza. Another link is Lorca, the Spanish playwright whom Zóbel studied in Harvard after the war. Zóbel's engagement with Lorca takes us to the performative and also to translation and transposition. Zóbel translated Lorca, and Tania has transposed Zóbel in dance. The final and encompassing link is movement. Zóbel defined movement as self-contradictory, holding within the phenomenon a tension between order and essence, as the title of the exhibition implies. The movement of line is precious to Zóbel. What is even more precious in his sensibility is the memory of the line, as it disperses or vanishes into mist or stain or atmosphere. This movement is also key to making sense of Zóbel's notion of abstraction and non-objective painting, of nature, his own migration between three continents, the situation of verging, as in his museum in Cuenca, that sits precariously on a cliff of age-old geology, and contains Spain's exemplary pieces of heady informalist art and the elusive form or formlessness of memory. These are the nodes or the links between Zóbel and flamenco, which Tania will flesh out with the heartbeat of dance. So Tania.
Great, thank you, Patrick. I've got Mike. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this amazing exhibition of Fernando Zóbel. And you know, this center that we are at here, we're surrounded by Saeta. Now, for me, Saeta had one meaning, you know, but when I was approaching this work, thanks to the National Gallery, I discovered that there were other meanings to Saeta. But then, since I am based between Singapore and Spain, and I have lived through a couple of Holy Weeks in Spain, so Saeta for me is very cultural, is very traditional to what I see in Sevilla, Sevilla year after year. So let's start playing in a while, a video, and all of this are my own personal visual stories that I like to share with you. It's not some great news reporting or so. It's really from my camera, from the time of 2013, living through the Semana Santa, Holy Week of Spain, okay? So as the video plays, I'm going to be talking over it, and after that we have a Q&A, so you can ask me anything, okay? But first, let's start looking at images that might be a bit strange to some of us. And the video goes, there you go. Can you imagine what Zóbel could have seen and heard that might inspire him to do his paintings here behind us? The Saeta, inspiration of the Saeta. Okay, and this is me. I'm looking at it. It's my first hand account. I'm going, oh my gosh, what are these figures? Okay, so let's listen to the sound of Semana Santa, Holy Week, Easter. Okay, can you see all these strange figures? They are called Nazarenos. And to me, it was pretty scary at night to see them. Now, daytime. Okay, Semana Santa, there are floats, 2 floats. The first float, if you're there, imagine you're there. I'm there looking up there. Now it's passing me. I'm going, whoa. Okay, and it's going to be huge above you, and it's the first float is always Jesus, because Semana Santa is about the whole the time when Jesus dies, and so you'll see a lot of images of agony, Christ in pain. This is the Passion of Christ. Hear the music, it's a marching band. Zóbel would have been exposed to all this. This is the Virgin Mary, they call it La Virgen. And this second float follows Christ because she's the weeping mother looking at her son being sacrificed, right? Being killed with no reason. And look at how it is so beautifully decorated, and it's a visual sight. And for Zóbel, for anyone, including yourself, if you were there, you would caught up with the music, the procession. The young and old, they have grown up with this as their tradition. So Sevilla has very strong traditions. And if you wondered why the Spanish are so expressive, well, it's because they're living all this, every year. This is like you can get into every church before Semana Santa to visit them. So I stepped into this tiny Capilla de la Estrella, little chapel, and now you can see every church has got its own treasure, and the treasure is the Virgin Mary with her cape, embroidered of gold, real gold and real silver. So the doors are open in the churches, you can step in there. I'm sure Zóbel would have stepped into the churches to be inspired by this. Okay, that's the next bit. Okay, what's this? It's so strange, right? It's the float. Can you imagine that 30-40 men underneath the float are carrying it? It's so heavy, and I wanted to take this video to show people what does it look like under the float. This is a practice, and these people are called costaleros. Costaleros, they're carrying the big burly men carrying all this, and during the Semana Santa you see them in the streets of Spain practicing. So it's really quite interesting to see. It's heavy. Okay, and they'll put concrete on top usually so that it simulate the float. Look how strong their thigh muscles are. Okay, resting time because they need to change the shift. Now look later how they all coordinate to get up. Okay, look. And getting ready. Up. There you go. And they can't see. Bear in mind it's a penitence. They're walking step by step. They can't see. You can't see the person, the outside. You're just following the march. There you go. Right? It can't fall. It's a whole penitential thing, And if you were there once again, what with Zóbel and have seen and heard, imagine that. This is Semana Santa before the parade starts by day and by night in Sevilla, the cathedral, which is the 3rd largest in the world. Okay, here I'm looking at it by night. By night, it looks really mysterious. The Nazarenos who are covered up because it's a penitence. By night, the candles, look how dramatic dramatic it is. So that's why I say the Spanish are very expressive again too, when you see all this live theater by the streets. This is a very special moment. All the floats of Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ have to go from their chapel into the cathedral. So can you see, it's a very narrow ramp, and all the streets of Spain are really narrow. They're doing this in silence. They're going up the ramp, and everybody's silent too, because we're sometimes so worried that, oh my gosh, can they actually squeeze through the narrow door? So imagine you are here, one of them, looking at all that, celebrating, I guess, well, this tradition with the Spanish people, being part of them. I would encourage you, those who are Spain lovers, one day to go catch one of this amazing tradition, which is the Semana Santa. So now the float goes in, and there are actually many, many, many churches, and all of them have their special routes. You know, it's very meticulously planned so that every single church do not cross, have their own routes. The route of penitence to get to the cathedral, right? And they don't cross each other. Now it's gone in, and everybody's so relieved. I'm relieved that it went through the door. Okay, what do we see? Also images of Semana Santa, ladies in black, because this is a tradition. Can you see? And the children giving out little cards to one another. And if you're lucky, I was lucky because this friend invited me to be on the balcony. So now you get to see Semana Santa from the top. Okay, look at that. So grab a balcony. It's a bit like the F1. Get the F1 balcony. And this is what I call flowers from heaven. Flowers thrown at Virgin Mary's paso is the flow. And to me, that's so amazing. My first time saying this, I think this was 2016 for me. And to me, it was like, oh my gosh, flowers from heaven. What a beautiful sight. So a woman is crying because her son is dying. He hangs on the cross through no fault of him, sentenced to death. And Semana Santa, the endless processions, mysterious figures, mysterious moments. And from the balcony, let's see, sometimes you hear a silence. What would Zóbel have seen and heard, like an arrow piercing through the air? This is what Zóbel would have heard. A saeta, which inspires these works we see today. The volume out, please. A holy song. And you can see this man here. So all the floats stop. Everybody keeps silent. This is the saeta that I know, and one of the inspiration probably of Zóbel. Can you hear his voice cutting out into the air? It's an adoration to Christ. There you go, you'll see he's singing to the Christ. Now turn behind you, everybody, for a feel of Semana Santa and an interpretation of the Saeta.
¿Quién me presta una escalera para subir al madero? Para quitarle los clavos a Jesús el Nazareno.
La saeta al cantar al Cristo de los gitanos, siempre con sangre en la mano, siempre por desenclavar, cantar del pueblo andaluz,
que todas las primaveras anda pidiendo escalera para subir a la cruz eres tú mi cantar, no puedo cantar ni quiero a ese Jesús del madero, sino al que anduvo en la mar.
Oh, no eres tú mi cantar, no puedo cantar ni quiero a ese Jesús del madero, sino al que anduvo en la mar.
Oh, no eres tú mi cantar.
And that was the Saeta, interpreted by Paloma Gómez of Madrid today. Now, it isn't the literal interpretation of the Saeta, it's a theatrical rendition of it. And what is more important is for you to be able to feel the emotion of it up close and personal, almost as if we're seeing the pasos and the floats. And I think just to feel it, to me, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to share with you. Yeah. So, Patrick, is there anything that you want to talk about? Yep, further? Yep.
Thank you. Maybe we can invite Paloma.
Paloma, is that so? Paloma, ¿estás allí? Paloma and dancers, I don't know if they've gone.
We can acknowledge.
Yeah, they can't hear. Okay, no worries.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe just your first impression of the Saeta of Zóbel. So as a dancer, what drew you to the painting of the Saeta, or the movement of the pigment on the canvas?
Yeah.
Was there what was the first moment of attraction
when
for
I first saw it?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so because the first, my interpretation, firstly, what I know of Saeta was actually full of color, full of tradition, full of theatrical moments, right? So when I came out to the gallery, I'm like, oh, okay, here's Paloma. Wait, by the way, this is Hola Paloma. Yes, hola. Okay, great. And this is the Dancimi, Maggie, Serene, Priscilla, and Isabella. Okay, but since Paloma is here, maybe I want to ask her, this is all very spontaneous, typical Spanish way. Can you talk about what you're wearing today?
Well, I'll try to explain in my not perfect English, but I think you can understand me a little bit, at least. Well, what I'm wearing, this is called mantilla. And usually during Semana Santa, the women wear with that. Under here, there is a peineta, but big one, the big one. There are little peinetas, but this one is really big to put the mantilla on it.
So I'm going to explain that a peineta is a hair comb. So when we dance, we wear a smaller one. Now, Paloma has a gigantic one. Look at it on top here. You can't see, but it is a huge one. I don't know if I can see. Yeah. No, it's okay. You look really beautiful like that. But you can turn turn around, right? So we can admire the whole thing. This is what you see in Semana Santa, and the ladies, although it looks somber, but mind you, it is not just plain, because it's actually quite rich, it's kind of like a fashion, kind of a bit like a fashion statement, even though it looks black and somber. Okay, can you want to explain things?
I don't know what's... no.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is what, we're really lucky to be able to see the actual, mantilla, the Spanish, attire for...
Usually you will see the mantilla, not like that, but like that, showing your front head. But in the old times, the way to wear the mantilla was like that. And that way is your eyes are more, ¿cómo es? Para recalcar los ojos. Sí, pero en inglés.
Okay, it's highlighted, more evident.
I'm sorry, I don't know that word.
So your eyes will be like, wow, more stunning, more highlights to your eyes. More dramatic, right? More dramatic eyes. Already your eyes are quite dramatic. So now you put the mantilla, like, even more dramatic, right? Yeah.
It's a piercing, maybe.
Piercing.
Like the
Saeta. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, okay, so dancers can stay here in Paloma too to enjoy what we're doing. If you want to, you can rest here also with us, and we'll continue. Yeah. So Patrick was asking me my response when I first saw the paintings, right? Like I said, I came from a background of very cultural and theater and, seeing all that glory. And then when I came to the museum, I was kind of expecting something like that, and this looks quite different from what I thought. But what happens is that, and then because it intrigues you so much, right? It's not something that you expect, then it really creates a big question mark for me to go research why is his interpretation this way, And so when you look at the works, try to also say there's a question mark for you, right? Let yourself go down the rabbit hole and ask, why did this painter interpret it this way? And of course, later as I researched it, I realized that there were other meanings to Saeta than what I knew. So, which is great, because every project you do, you learn something new. And so for me, I was like, okay, right, Saeta is also like an arrow that is fast. It's like a flash. It's like a tension where there is so much emotion, and then suddenly becomes silent. And then after that, you get the arrow, and it pierces your heart. Because for me, the Saeta, as the music, pierces your heart. If I can share a little bit of letras with you, letras, the lyric of the Saeta, the themes are all about the agony of Christ. It's about the weeping mother. She's called La Virgen, the Virgin, and she takes different names, the Virgin of Sorrows or so, and Christ would be like Cristo del Gran Poder, Christ of great power. So for us, you see, it's very literary too. So I think when you think, when I had to imagine about what Zóbel could have seen, he's so close to the Spanish culture, he would have seen all that too, because as a lover of Spain, you would go to Spain many, many times. I've been going over 20 years, and these girls are now starting their journey, and then all my artists always open a door for me to understand the culture. So when you go to Spain, you immerse yourself in the culture. Anyway, back to this. Therefore, it looks very abstract, but you have to imagine maybe he's actually capturing the emotion, the piercing, the sharpness, and therefore, for those of us who've seen the performance downstairs, there is one piece where you see the girls close their fan, and we're like pointing up, all that, and that is actually my inspiration from the Saeta. It's like, okay, what is the relation, the cuchillo to the moon and the knife? So I asked the girls, let's close the fan, and instead of being, sensual and round, let's be very sharp, as if we want to kill somebody, not you, my dear. Okay, but just killing the audience, literally, okay? So that was the moment where I said, I'm relating what we have downstairs to here, yeah, okay.
And then Tania, the Saeta is part of the Flamenco repertory.
Yeah.
So can you show us the link between the Saeta and the Flamenco?
Okay, so the Saeta that we hear, let's say in a balcony, nowadays it would be what we call free rhythm. So in flamenco, okay, here's a contrast. In flamenco, we are so mindful about the rhythm. It's so universal. Why are we so caught up about the rhythm? Because we have guitar, dance, and song, and all three of them are sometimes very spontaneous. So we have a universal rhythm. But there are some pieces, some styles that are in free rhythm, and this particular one that we heard is in a free rhythm. So which means if we interpret it, it actually is not really dance to, it's just for us to stop and listen, and is an adoration to Christ. However, there are roots, a little bit of influence of a tonal, or what we call martinete, to the saeta that has rhythm. So now I'm going to all get us to feel a little bit of that, okay? So we're going to be, let's sing, we'll not count it. Can you all sing after me? And I'm going to do 5 with my fingers, okay? Girls also, you're going to clap, okay? So, and let's try first, and let's see, the whole room can imagine we're in Semana Santa, okay? And it's going to sound like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tan, 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 tan. Let's go. Tan. Let's go now. Tan, 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 tan. We clap. 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 See the accent. Tan, 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 tan. Repeat. Tan, 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 tan. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last. Tan, tan, tan. Takatika tan, takatika tan. Good. So you would be able to feel something of that, but nowadays it's a free song, but it has some roots to that. Yeah, so that's how we, I guess, relate it. Yeah, especially the letras, the lyrics. The lyrics to us would be also quite particular, yeah.
And the flamenco is quite a rich tradition, and somehow I could discern Islamic aspects of it, or maybe gypsy.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through those?
Yeah. Okay, I'll talk about it, and Paloma, feel free to add it too. Yeah. So because flamenco for me, sometimes when we talk about the word fusion, well, I would say flamenco is a true fusion. You have fusion that's just patched work, right? But you have a fusion that came from hundreds of years of living together, of striving together, suffering the hardship, but at the same time celebrating. And so we have in flamenco a few influences. The Moorish, the song that you heard just now, it has what we call melismas. And the melismas is very similar in Singapore, where you can hear it in the mosque. In the mosque, a Muslim call to prayer, right, Kun? Yeah, so if you hear the Muslim call to prayer, and then you hear flamenco and you're wondering, that sounds similar. You're not wrong. It's because there is that link of the cante that has, the Moorish influence into flamenco. Yep, so that's one's the melisma. And then you have the part that is gypsy, because tradition, the theory is that the gypsies moved from a part of India, some part of India, some might think of it as Rajasthan, and they went to Europe through 2 different routes, okay? And so there's one route that settled in southern Spain, okay, and they were the Roma, 2 types of Roma, okay? So Roma that went to the south, therefore settled in Spain, and they interacted with the locals. The locals had their folklorico, their folklore, their folk music, which is a bit more melodic, okay? And then you also had the Jews who were there, and so their music also sounded different. Then you have the Moors, the Muslims way of singing, and then it all came together in a sudden, fusion. But I say most of the people didn't think yet actually that in flamenco the song is extremely important, because most of us come to it as a first encounter with the dance. It's the dance that really captivates us, especially with the energy and the our trajes, our costumes. But the song is actually what we're dancing to spontaneously. So the song with the letra, I would encourage you all to go down that rabbit hole. It's literary, but it's also a very rich culture to Spain. So that's that's why it became very mixed together, and what you hear is a true fusion that feels ancient. It was not a patchwork, it was just evolved very organically and naturally. So now I'm going to also hand this over to Paloma, because she will have also her perspectives about this. And by the way, it's such a pleasure for her to come all the way to Madrid today. So over to you, Paloma.
Pero no te he entendido. ¿Qué te Well, Tania explained very well the origin of the flamenco. Thank you, Tania. So I don't really have anything else to say. But what I would like to share with all of you is my pleasure dancing here in such an amazing place like the National Gallery of Singapore, doing something focused in flamenco, being so far away from Spain. So it's something very important. Tania is doing a great, amazing work about the diffusion of flamenco and Spanish dance since many years ago, and I'm really very proud to be part of such a wonderful project, performance. And well, thank you very much for the National Gallery. Thank you very much, Tania. Okay, I'm not finished, but that's what I wanted to say. I'm not finishing with that, but I wanted to say that before. So
I have a perfect question for Paloma, okay? She is versatile in many genres of Spanish dance. So most people think that, okay, flamenco, Spain only has flamenco, but actually we have danza española, and they are different genres. So in the show itself, you didn't just see flamenco, you saw a few genres. So Paloma can talk to us, because she was Ballet Nacional de España, the National Ballet of Spain, and they're versatile in quite a few genres, which now she can speak about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tania. She wants me to speak in English a lot. Okay. So the Spanish dance has 4 styles. One style is classical Spanish dance. That's where I was dancing before with playing the castanets, with the line of the body, the aesthetic are a little bit different, closer to the aesthetic of ballet, but it's not ballet because has also the soul and the character of flamenco in Spanish dance. Okay, it's a mix of that. Second style is bolera school. Bolera school is a very old style, so old than flamenco. They were, in fact, contemporary, both of them. So it's dance with ballet shoes and castanets. And maybe some of you already saw some pictures, old pictures with that Spanish dancers. Yeah, okay. So, in fact, they were a very famous dancer. It wasn't Spanish, it was English dancer, Fanny Esler. Fanny Esler, she was dancing one of the most important repertory bolera school choreography, which is Ole de la Curra. So, well, that's the second one. The third is folklore. Spanish folklore. You can find jota in the northeast of Spain. You can find sardana in Catalonia. You can find in the west, north, the Muñeira, for example, Galicia. In the center, well, each little town of Spain has its own dance with their own costumes, of course, with their own gastronomy. And so it's really rich. You can find a lot of diverse dancers and everything. And the fourth one is flamenco. Flamenco, many years ago, gets very famous. That's the reason that it's treated like individual. like we usually say, flamenco and Spanish dance. But the truth is flamenco is one of the styles of Spanish dance. But as it was so famous, it gets its own individuality, okay? So there are 4 styles. So what you saw today, you saw flamenco when they dance zorongo. Zorongo was very flamenco, pure, clear flamenco. What I danced with the castañets was classical Spanish dance, and we didn't folklore. Sevillanas is part of our folklore in the Andalusia, in the south of Spain. Yes, the last dance. And the only that we didn't do was the folklore. Maybe next time, okay? But for half an hour, that's enough, I think, okay? Well, I think it's clear with my English, but I hope if you have any question or whatever, please do it. I want to keep with my mic.
Maybe my last question. Okay. My last question has something to do with the Asian body dancing the flamenco. So we can also ask the dancers here.
Yeah.
So what is the...
come over, girls.
like, how do you feel? Like, because the Asian body is different, right? From the, let us say, the European body. So is there like a distinct approach to flamenco through the Asian body?
Okay, so I will talk about first my experience and maybe, quickly one. Isabella, maybe Isabella. Yeah, I can talk about, okay. Yeah, okay, come over. It's a very interesting question because, it's something that I could talk a little bit more in a very personal way. Why? Because I would say the approach to it, there is no personal approach. It was very organic to me. I just was in Spain having a sabbatical. I was, a bit tired of my corporate job, working in the government. So then after that, I said, okay. Sorry, government. Yeah, okay. So then I said, okay, I'm going to go to Sevilla. I just wanted a break. And during this time, I wanted to pause and not come with my, baggage or so. And let me discover different cultures. So yeah, I really quit my job. I went there without a job in mind and just went into a class. I was searching for different classes. And the first thing I think was, it was quite amazing for me to get there. I studied flamenco firstly in Australia, and then after that I went to Spain. But my whole experience very different. Why? Because suddenly you're there. It's intense. In Singapore, for us, when we approach arts, it is a bit like a weekend thing, right? It's like a leisure thing. But over there, when we get to Spain, it is Monday to Friday, and it's a very professional track. So suddenly you get immersed into it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, whoa, this was quite, firstly, intense for me as a non-dancer at the time. I didn't start out being a dancer, so it's intense. And I was getting a lot of backstage experience about how the artistic process is, how the dancers are trained. And the second thing I was also noting was that, our classroom would have people from all around the world. We had a lot of Japanese at the time, and over time we had a lot of Russians, we had a lot of French and Spanish as well, and then here was one lone Singaporean, still finding her path, and the Spanish were there too. The Spanish was so expressive. I mean, look at Paloma dance, right? She's like really expressive going into herself. But for us Asians, we're a little bit more, here's where environment and culture does influence us, because at least for me, I was brought up in a bit of conservative environment. So we weren't very expressive with our words. Nobody touched us and go, kiss each other and hug each other. So this was in our environment. And nobody actually asked me, how do you feel? How do you feel? They would be like, study hard. Did you study? How did you pass your exam? Pass or fail? Things like that. So nobody at that time asked about your feeling. And I think in the Spanish culture, they value your feeling, And so in flamenco, you notice we're of any shape, size, and age, from 8 to 80, because we're not judging a person's value based on our bodies, or our abilities. We're actually looking at, say, flamenco, and we're saying, ole, you've got the art in you because you've lived your entire life, and now you've interpreted and expressed it through your art. ole because that art lives in you, you're sharing. So we're not judging to say who's perfect or anything. Of course, technically, we're performing, we have to be looking at the technique and perfection, but firstly, to me, flamenco is so much about the humanity. And so that is the common thread, no matter which country you are, no matter what race or culture you come from. I think the humanity in flamenco really speaks to you. Just listening for me, to listen to the guitar in my academy. When I stepped in the guitar into the academy, there was dance, there was clapping, there was song and music. That really arrested me because those are the universal elements. And the universal elements was my teacher, my teachers, and my fellow students who were also really focused into it. They were exploring themselves, you know, and so I think that was a bit that I was missing out in my, maybe my childhood, you know, and that flamenco allowed me to explore deep into myself without any fear, because my teachers would say, no vale if you didn't take the risk. But in Singapore, because we're a small country, you have to be perfect, because if you made a mistake, like if you built the highway and there's a mistake in the highway, that's it. You know, so in Singapore, no mistakes, and that's actually a bit of our culture. Our DNA is to be super organized, to be perfect. But you know, flamenco is an art. It's not about perfection, and I think it's more about your humanity, and that's what unites us all. Yeah. So now Isabella Isabella came to flamenco a bit newer than me, so maybe she's got different perspectives, and she's also from, you know, she's not from Singapore, so she can also talk about her experience, and Paloma can also as our maestras.
Okay, before I start, I thought I saw a 5-minute sign somewhere. It's my professional habit, because usually I'm the person holding the sign. That's why I'm very allergic to those kind of signage. So hi everyone, Isabella here. I'm originally from China, and just before I start, it's really a personal connection and privilege for me to be dancing in the Wu Guanzhong Gallery, as I was sharing with the gallery teams. Wu Guanzhong, he actually came from the same region as I am from China. So it's really a proud moment for me to actually brag to the rest of my family on WeChat and be like, oh, look where your daughter is now. So beyond that, so to Tania's question about my journey, I think everyone walks into flamenco in a different journey. And for me, it was a COVID project. Everyone was working from home. I work at big tech companies, American tech companies. Since I moved to Singapore, I was definitely clocking in more than the hours I was salaries for. So I can see my husband smirking over there in the crowd and be like, yeah, you're working too much. So what is it that we can do? So we started 2 things. One is going to gym together. We call it gym dates. And the second one is I started exploring flamenco by myself. I was trained in early childhood as a ballroom dancer, and that was the Soviet influence on the Chinese society during that time in the 90s of actually doing ballroom Latin and getting trained in the Soviet way. So it's like bruises all over my body from that period of time. And then when I was at the crossroad of doing a professional track of become a ballroom dancer versus keeping it as a habit, I was actually faced with a bottleneck, which is my height. As you can see, I'm probably way above average of this country and many others around the world, and also including southern China. So my coach at the time telling me, unless you find a guy who can be at least 20 centimeters taller than you, you cannot be professional. And that was a very brutal conclusion to jump into when you were like 11 years old. So at that time, I talked to my parents, okay, maybe professional ballroom is not a track for me unless I move to the Netherlands or Scandinavia. And then, so I actually suspended part of that dancing dream until I was actually moved to Singapore and discovered flamenco, where you can do solo ladies all the time and dance as high and big, as libre as you want. So yeah, that was...
Yeah, we're not relying on the guy. Anybody else want to say anything before we probably wrap up, right?
Yeah. Maybe one more?
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Paloma or Maggie? Or go. Maggie, yeah.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Maggie. Nice to meet you. So my journey is a little bit funny. I just wanted to lose weight. I bet like everyone can feel me, you know. So I was just looking and finding a dance that really speaks to me. I didn't know this is gonna be a long journey, but it happened. I just fell in love with flamenco, and just like all of them said, you can do whatever you feel and you want. It's all about your own expression. So you don't have to be a professional. Like everyone has been telling me, oh, I can't dance, I have 2 left feet. There's no such thing. It's all about, you know, training and getting used to the movement. Yeah. So something to think about.
Okay, I would like to say something. Some years ago, I usually go to Australia also each year. And I remember one of the time I was there, the radio makes me an interview. And one of the questions was, everybody can dance flamenco if it doesn't matter if they were born in Spain or not, or what do you think? So I said, everybody can dance flamenco. The reason is because everybody can feel. All of you, everybody has feeling, emotions, and everybody wants the same in the life. Everybody wants to love, everybody wants to be happy, everybody wants to the nice, the beautiful things, right? So at the end, all of us are the same. The only difference is the language. That's it, but we don't need to talk when we are dancing flamenco. The communication is different. It's just through the music and directly through the heart. We connect each other. The communication is heart to heart. I think this is the greatest thing about flamenco, and this is the reason because flamenco is very attractive everywhere, because we can be communicate with the, for me, most beautiful way to be communicate through heart and through love. So that's the only that I wanted to say before we finish that, because it's very important and it's linked with what Maggie say. It's not necessary to learn, to know how to dance. It's not necessary to do very difficult things. It's not necessary to be a professional dancer. Well, it can learn with each level. But the most important about flamenco is to feel, to use flamenco like a tool to help you how to express what you are feeling, because all of us can feel. Okay, that's what I wanted to say just before we finish.
Yeah. It's a good thing to say, Paloma, because Zóbel is a self-taught artist. So he went through art history on his own as well. But he was also very intelligent, and he was a writer. And on the question of writing, we would like to plug this reader that we produced. I co-edited this with Clarissa Chiquiamco, who is here, and who will pick up flamenco soon. And so you can, this is an anthology of the texts that Zóbel wrote in English, and also the interviews with Zóbel. So this is available at the bookshop downstairs. So I think this comes to, we would like to thank everyone for coming, especially Tania and Paloma, and then I'm the only non-dancer in this tableau, but and for everyone who came, it's a great turnout, and good to see you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you, Tania. Thank you, Paloma, the dancers. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending time with us today. We would also love to hear your thoughts. If you have the program booklet that we have distributed, there is a QR code that you can scan. If you have any questions for Tania, for Patrick, these are opportunities for you to submit your questions in, and we'll reach out to them. And if you don't have the booklets, I have copies here with with me. And with that, thank you again, everyone. Have a very good day. We hope to see you again.
Muchas gracias.
Yes. The Zóbel exhibition closes on 30th November, so there's plenty of time. Come again.
Enjoy. It is enjoy. National Gallery, thank you so much for bringing us such amazing works right here in Singapore. To me, it has been quite touching to journey with National Gallery. It's a fantastic theme, a team of really passionate people and very dedicated people. And thank you, Andrew, also Lucas and Diana and Kalisha. The whole team has been amazing. And yes, we are very blessed to be close up to beauty, humanity, and human expression here. So enjoy this exhibition.
Thank you.